Helen Yee here with Eyes on the Game here in Las Vegas, being joined by one of the best referees in the business, the one and only Mr. Marc Goddard. Now, last night was the final UFC card of 2020. What a year it's been, right?
Yeah, like we were just saying off camera, 2020, you couldn't make it up.
I know. What has this experience been like for you? Because I know you've been refereeing for about 16 years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this year was, like I said, for everybody and anybody, it's completely unscripted. Nobody could predict it. Nobody would, even at the start of the year when this thing was still kind of like bubbling under. I remember when we came back from New Zealand February, and then it was all kind of starting to come to light. And then from March, and then that was it. It was like boom, straight away the light was turned out. And everything was just stopped. The world ground to a halt, and that's the first really we knew what is this thing, how serious it was. And then there was no events really it was almost March, April, May, June, almost 5 months, and then it was the first Fight Island. Obviously the UFC were doing things here. I think the first series of events was Florida, but it was the complete unknown. Everybody was dealing with, what the fuck is this?
I know. But where would you rank, for example, like Fight Island and just this whole year compared to some of the other experiences that you've been through throughout these 16 years?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, normally, like I said, it gets busier and busier. Yeah. Last 2019 was probably my busiest year, because it just ramps up all the time. But in a weird way, even 2020 has been busy because obviously UFC, they bring me out here, go to Fight Island, a couple of Fight Islands, some shows, Cage Warriors, for instance, the most established show in Europe. They've been doing some trilogy events. But when we done the first Fight Island in July, that's probably the greatest memory I'll have of any events anywhere in the world in my time in MMA for the last 20 years, for sure.
I've seen you everywhere, like you mentioned, Jacksonville, and then also obviously Fight Island. I've seen you here in Vegas, back to Abu Dhabi, the UK. How many times have you been on an airplane this year?
This year's been quite a lot, but nowhere near the norm. Okay. Because obviously from February till July, from March to July, we came back, my diary was full. Normally it's about 3 months in advance, and my diary was full. So when we came back from Auckland, New Zealand in Feb, that was the Felder Hooker fight, and then this thing started to take a hold, and then everything just, bum, countries were shutting down, everything was getting cancelled, and then the first Fight Island in July was the first time back in the saddle for me. And then things have been picking up because I work in the Middle East too, for other promotions, Cage Warriors, coming back to Vegas, obviously the second Fight Island, etc. So I'm still busy, and I'm fortunate to still be working when many other people haven't been. But this year is probably 50% down on what it normally is in terms of travel, but I'm not complaining.
Like I mentioned earlier, 16 years in this business, Khabib was just named BBC World Sport Athlete of the Year. And you tweeted that basically it's a huge step in the evolution of MMA. Kind of describe what you've noticed so far in this evolution of MMA, and if there's any changes that you'd like to see to further progress this sport.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try and unpack that. I've been around MMA for 16 years as a ref, but as a whole, MMA as we know it for the last 20 years, martial arts back in the tradition, even longer still, and fortunate to do so. And the thing with Khabib, it broke because obviously there's in the UK, obviously BBC, the Sports Personality of the Year, it's a huge thing. He didn't actually win the BBC Sports Person, that's actually tonight, that will go out in the UK. They have several categories like team events and stuff, and what Khabib won was he won the world, so it was kind of like take the world as a whole instead of just British based or British born or British based sports people. He won the the rest of the world category, which again it's still a massive deal because it's MMA. MMA just doesn't get covered. You know, a lot of people in the UK, when Michael Bisping, obviously he's our most successful export in MMA, was a UFC world champion, and the BBC didn't really talk about it, which was obviously a shame. But it just shows, you know, a couple of years later, just a few years down the line, and then obviously Khabib transcends a lot of, you know, areas, different areas. It's not just about people, you know, when you tweet something or the comments blow up. Oh, what do you mean he fought once and that? It's not just about, it's not fighter of the year. It's the whole package, you know, your popularity. What do you do for the sport? How do you transcend barriers and things like that? There's some amazing candidates globally, but just the fact that MMA got the shine from, and it's a people-based, you know, this is a public vote, which also signifies a big thing. This is not just a bunch of dusty, grey-haired old men sitting in a room, you know, making conservative decisions. This was a public vote, and it just shows the strength of MMA and where it's going.
Absolutely. Very well said. Now, with 2021 around the corner, it is the Olympic year. What do you think it needs to take for MMA to become an Olympic sport?
Again, you know, I can answer this question in 1 minute, and I could go on for an hour, because this is an educational thing. Obviously, this is all to do with amateur mixed martial arts, and as you know, I work very closely with IMAF, which is the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation. IMAF was set up and has been set up and been operating solely for the development of amateur sport, amateur MMA, and a lot of people, particularly in the US, that just don't know the reach and the success and what IMAF have done for this sport. You know, the last World Championships, 2019, were in Bahrain. You're talking, you know, nearly 500 athletes, 40, I think it was around about 46 different countries. It's a week-long event. It was a whole showcase, a gala. And then when you look at some of the youngsters that have, you know, like any sport, you know, you will learn your trade somewhere. You don't just suddenly jump from, I want to do this, into being a professional athlete. Having the amateur platform that IMAF provides, because we put on events globally, Europeans, Asian Opens, Pan Americans, Pacifics, obviously the Worlds, and then we had the Youth World Championships as well last year in Rome, Italy, which was incredible. And that's where the USA turned up en masse. They turned up with this is the kids, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 3 age categories, and the USA turned up extremely well represented, and they took the lion's share of medals. So yeah, obviously it's, you know, we're still a young sport, so just trying to get people in tune and educate them in the realest possible sense. When I say educate, just let people know who IMAF are. So immaf.org, go onto the website, learn about us, you'll see what we do, and I can't underestimate the pride and the importance I put in working with those kids. And you watch them come all the way through. 3, 4, 5 years time, this is the next crop of Bellator and UFC stars.
Yes, absolutely, and you do a great job with it. Kind of reflecting on 2020, obviously a lot of great fights, but also a couple retirements from like Ricardo Lamas, Henry Cejudo, Daniel Cormier, Khabib. Did any of those retirements surprise you?
I think Henry surprised me. You know, you got a guy at the top of his game. Obviously, Khabib, the personal things that he went through, I would say it didn't surprise me, obviously, because, you know, the loss of his father, and obviously, you know, even the little bit, I mean, I didn't know him on a personal level, but I've had interactions with him for years, because I was traveling through Russia, working with other promotions, and it was nothing but positive, you know. He's just he was revered in Russia. No matter where you went to, which city or which event, you know, when he turned up, he was a very well and heavily respected man, and you can see why. I think, like, you know, retirements, obviously, Cormier, you know, obviously age and what else have you got left to do. It's different. It's horses for courses, you know. It's fighters come and fighters go, you know, the natural aging process as well. But yeah, you know, hopefully a couple of the names that you mentioned, hopefully we're going to see them back. And it's going to be a short-lived retirement, so that's good for the fans and good for us.
Well, who do you think out of those is the most likely one to come back first?
Maybe Henry, maybe Khabib. I don't know. You know, obviously Khabib, it was the very emotional thing he was saying afterwards when he beat Dustin Gaethje, and when he was saying about, you know, he said to his mom that he wouldn't fight again, etc., etc. And then obviously, because the guy is on the cusp of probably the greatest legacy in this sport, you know, you don't get undefeated fighters in MMA, not at that level, at championship level. And he's, you know, it's the whole thing about, obviously he was saying his father, before his father passed, that was his plan to get him to 30, you know. You know, people are talking about, you know, super fights, him and GSP. Who doesn't want to see that? Who would not want to be involved with that? Henry as well, obviously Cejudo, you know, a guy that, what more is there left for him to achieve? Olympic gold medalist, two-weight world champion, the guy's at the top of his game. Even as a fan of the sport, I just want to see those people come back.
Absolutely. And someone who is making his return, the next card, the next pay-per-view, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, their rematch going down. I know you've told the Schmo before, just kind of being in the arena of a Conor fight, and you'll be there in Fight Island. So what do you make of that rematch? Yeah,
I mean, Conor, look, it's a special, it's like even coining his phrase, it's a celebration when there's just something different when he fights, you know. Obviously the attention that he's the most famous athlete that's ever came from, and probably ever will come from MMA. You know, everybody knows him, everybody wants to see him fight. And then obviously the fact that, you know, it's a rematch as well, obviously at a higher weight as well. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what happens, for sure.
Yes, and lastly, since we are buying In-N-Out, I have seen you post on your Instagram about In-N-Out before. So what do you like better, In-N-Out or Five Guys?
Imagine the comments. In-N-Out, because everybody was talking about it for years, and all the years I've been coming here, and I never tried it. And then it was last year for the first time. And then some people were like telling me about this, the secret menu, the hidden menu and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. I like it because it's simplicity. You know, they do the two kind of burgers or whatever it is. And for me, like a pragmatist, you go in, you go, I want this, and they do it and it's good. But yeah, Five Guys is good, but we have Five Guys in the UK, but we don't have In-N-Out. And I think, I mean, obviously this year's been a bit of a washout. Maybe next year In-N-Out will make it to the UK, but I like them both.
Yeah. Well, what from the secret menu though?
It was the animal fries.
Oh yeah, that sauce is good.
That's the game changer, animal fries.
Well, next time we have a fight here, I'll bring you some animal fries.
Appreciated.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you in Fight Island January.
See you in January. Thank you.